Madam Clerk, the time is now 7 p.m.
That came up fast. Okay. It's now 7 p.m. I'd like to call this regular Township Council meeting to order. Roll call. Councilwoman Perone.
Present.
Councilman Anderson is running a couple minutes late, but he'll be here. Councilwoman McIntosh.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Present.
Mayor Whitfield.
Present.
Thank you. Please rise for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to invite Pastor Kennedy from the Willingboro Christian Assembly to lead us in prayer.
Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to be here, pray with you. We are thankful that we have the opportunity to serve in Willingboro. God, who been with us in the past, that God, we would invite everyone that has not had an opportunity to visit the Willingboro Christian Assembly. We'd like to meet. Let's look to the Lord and pray. Most precious and holy Father, we thank you and we praise you for your goodness and mercy and your love. We may you guide us by your spirit and direct us. We humble ourselves in your presence. We appreciate all that we have in Christ Jesus our Lord, and we appreciate all that you have done for us in Jesus. Continue to bless this township. Continue to bless this administration, and continue to guide and direct me to the Willingboro area toward special relationship with Jesus Christ. Father, we thank you. We love you and we praise you. We pray your will be done. That Jesus be glorified. And that everyone that's in this room today has the opportunity to be blessed for the Lord. We look to you, Father, because you are the hope of our joy. You are the blood of our life. So therefore, we realize, only by your guidance and your direction, that we are able to humble ourselves. We put ourselves to you because you are God Almighty. You do all things well, and you are. We ask for your protection, Father. We are living in times where there is great need for protection. When you walk out these doors, you don't know if you're going to have much food to walk back or not. The situation in this world is got to the point where it's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. Separate ourselves from the world. So have your way, we pray. And bless us in faith. We not only ask you to protect us, we ask you to listen. That the peace of God will reign mightily in the Willingboro area, and that the Willingboro community will enjoy it. So, we need guidance. In this community, we need guidance. From the committee, we need guidance over the leadership. We need guidance. We need to unify your spirit in a mighty way. Build relationships. Build relationships in the community that will strengthen the community. And create a welcoming that will welcome everyone that comes in the community. So we realize that there's many people that are moving into this community more and more. Many people into the country, many people moving into New York. We get more visitors in our church from New York, from the community. So let the Willingboro community grow. Let the neighbors learn to love each other, to share that love The number of people type. And, this is Willingboro community, come to know Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. That's peace. That's peace. That's the will of God in your life and in the business that you need. So we pray, Father, that your will be done, and that Jesus be glorified. We ask for your protection over the community, guard us from harm, violence, and discord. Lord, we ask for you to preserve and bless each home in our community and community, that they may have, they may thrive and prosper. Let your will be done, we pray. And we hope and we pray. The will of God, and everyone that brings to you. Let the Spirit that move in a mighty way. And Jesus will be glorified.
Amen. The compliance statement, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Pastor Hiawatha Kennedy from the Willingboro Christian Assembly.
Notice was provided in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 to the Burlington County Times, Trenton Times, and Philadelphia Inquirer, stating the date, time, place, and the agenda to the extent it was known. Additionally, notice was filed in the office of the Township Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now we will go to the manager for the municipal updates.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the governing body, members of the public. I have a few items for you to bring you up to speed this evening. I think I last reported that our auditors were in the house doing the 2024 municipal audit. Our 2024 annual debt statement has been completed. In New Jersey, the debt limit for municipalities is 3.5% of the average equalized value over the previous 3 years. This is a limit that is set by law. Willingboro's debt service is 1.39%, which is excellent in comparison to our sister municipalities. Again, that's 1.39% of the municipality's average equalized valuation over the past 3 years. So that's a really, really good number. Total revenue collected for the month of January is $12,030,484.62. 1.5 million of that was tax revenue. 179,000 of that was municipal revenue that was not expected, and $297,000 in other revenues. Of the tax revenues collected, $2,829,000 was wired to the Willingboro Board of Education for school taxes. Our total expenditures for the month was $2,775,310.67. $1,093,935 of that was operational expenses, and $1,681,375 was salary and wages. From our Department of Public Works, they investigated 53 pothole reports in the month of January and filled 46 potholes. We did have a few snow events this month. In the last snow event on the 19th, they applied 225 tons of salt. Thanks to Burlington County, who over-ordered their supplies, we were able to refill our coffers at the county's expense. So thank you, Burlington County. They were out collecting Christmas trees, and they collected 24 trees to date. As some of you may know, our speed radar signs are up and operating. There are 2 that are on Beverly Rancocas Road are going to be relocated into more applicable locations. And they are continually monitoring trash and litter in our parks. In January, they collected 29 55-gallon trash cans and recycling cans. I forgot the recycling cans number, but it was a significant amount. And again, they collected 45 cubic yards of leaves. And I do believe they are still out and about collecting leaves in this non-snowy season. The Eagle Lane Drainage Project is scheduled to commence on March the 5th, weather permitting in accordance with the contract documents. We do believe that will take about 75 days for them to complete, which would leave them done around May the 18th, barring no unforeseen circumstances. In our inspections department, there were 255 inspections completed between January 1st and the 21st. Revenue collected during that time was $44,265. New charitable bin ordinance was mailed to all of the business owners who have donation bins located on their premises to inform them of the new requirements that were instituted by ordinance. And the inspections department is amending the SOP of property maintenance inspections for code enforcement. Our fire and EMS departments are volunteer firefighters, Michaela Park and Dante Morrow, graduated from the fall 2024 Firefighter One program in January. Graduation was held at the Burlington County Institute of Technology, and all of the fire platoons conducted ice rescue training in the pond at Mill Creek Park. And this training allows the fire crews to make rescues on the ice in the event someone falls into a pond or a creek. Personnel, we hired one new code enforcement, and they began this month as well. We did one interdepartmental transfer, an employee who transferred from DPW to code enforcement, and that were all the personnel moves during the month of January. And just some miscellaneous items I just wanted to share with you. The municipal excess liability, or known as the MEL, which is a part of our insurance carrier. Their annual elected officials training program is available online through their Safety Institute. The MEL will apply a $250 credit against each member's assessment for each municipal elected official who completes the course by May 25th. So I will make sure that you all receive the links to that course, and we do ask that you go ahead and just complete the course. This is kind of an annual thing, but they do credit us $250 per each member that completes the course, and that credit is also extended to myself as well. On the 28th of January, the deputy manager and I attended a discipline and grievance training course offered by the New Jersey Civil Service Commission that was held at Mercer County College. It was a really excellent training. This one-day course focused on guiding professionals in the New Jersey merit system in learning ways to guide and preserve our employees. It was not, the goal of the class was not to remove employees, but it was how a schedule of infractions and penalties and progressive discipline and sound documentation will reduce employee appeals and grievances and help manage our employees better. As you may recall, the library was closed for a period of 2 days because there was a heating issue with the boiler. The gas pressure would not regulate properly between the two boilers, allowing the boilers to operate simultaneously. PSC&G and the installer were on the site to resolve the problem, and the library is up and functioning now. We did receive a quote to replace the carpeting in the library. It came in at $235,206.24. If the council approves this as part of the capital budget, we will go out to bid for that. We're going to also look for an additional, well, we're going to go out to bid for that. And really, that's all the information that I'm going to share with you this evening. I am going to ask Ms. Jackson if she will come and give us updates of our activities that are going on in Willingboro during the month of
We have that effect on people, so
saying.
my apologies. Good evening.
Good evening, Ms.
Mayor,
Jackson.
Deputy Mayor, members of the council, and all those assembled. Just as I want to give you an update on our Black History Month activities. So we will be kicking off our Black History Month events on Thursday, February 6th, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with an open art exhibit reception entitled I'll Fly Away, hosted by Lavette Ballard, an art curator. And again, that will be from 5 to 7, and that will be at the Kennedy Center lounge area. And then on Saturday, we will have our Black Business Boulevard Expo. We invite residents to come and join us as we highlight and support Black businesses, entrepreneurs. There will be performances by the Don Evans Players entitled Black Wall Street Memories. And we will also have Faith in Action there performing Shades of Us, as well as roundtable discussion and classes. So that day is a full day. It's from 10 to 5, and it will be held throughout various rooms in the Kennedy Center, but the Black Business Boulevard will be in the main gym. And then the performances will be held in the banquet hall. On the 21st, February 21st, we will have our open mic Black History Month edition featuring Black Wall Street highlights. That will be at 7 p.m. in the banquet hall. And then we will wrap up the month's activities with an evening of the arts. And that's a celebration of song, dance, drum, spoken word, and more. And that will be at 7 o'clock in the banquet hall. And all of these events are free and open to the public. Any questions? All right, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Does that conclude your report, Ms. Harris?
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we will add one other thing to the agenda. We have a proclamation for Black History Month that will be read by Deputy Mayor Whitney.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Proclamation declaring Black History Month. Whereas National African American History Month is an occasion to rediscover the enduring stories of African Americans and the gifts of freedom, purpose, and opportunity they have bestowed on future generations. It is a time to commemorate the scourge of segregation, racial prejudice, and discrimination to enrich every fiber of American life. Many diverse ethnic and racial groups have played a vital and positive integral part and contributed to the promulgation of America's unique social, cultural, scientific, spiritual, political, and economic development. And whereas the origins of Black History Month can be traced to the scholar Carter G. Woodson, who in 1929 conceived a yearly celebration to help rectify the omission of African Americans from history books. Dr. Carter Woodson was an American historian, author, journalist, and the founder of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. He was one of the first scholars to study the history of the African diaspora. Today, the observance of Black History Month, or National African American History Month, throughout the United States stands as a testament to the success of Woodson's project and an example of how we can work together to teach and appreciate such history. And whereas the theme of Black History Month 2025 is African Americans and labor. This theme was chosen to highlight the role of labor in the Black experience, from enslavement to union leadership. It was also chosen to recognize the importance of Black labor in the Black experience, including the contribution of Black workers to the economy, culture, and society. Continually, this theme also acknowledges the ongoing struggles for racial and economic justice and encourages reflection on the intersections between Black people's work and their workplace. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Samantha E. Whitfield, Mayor of the Township of Willingboro, along with the Township Council, hereby proclaim February as Black History Month in 2025.
Thank you, Dr. Whitney. Now we will go through the ordinances and resolutions. Mr. Harris?
Yes, first on the agenda for this evening is the ordinance for introduction, number 2025-4, which is an ordinance establishing fees for marriage or civil union ceremonies performed by the mayor or former mayor, outlining reimbursement for expenses and authorizing payments. Ordinance for public hearing and final adoption is ordinance number 2025-1, which is an ordinance amending ordinance 2023-1 titled an ordinance of Willingboro Township to establish travel reimbursement regulations for the township officials and township employees conducting official business. Ordinance number 2025-2 is an ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Willingboro, specifically Chapter 314 entitled Solid Waste, by adding a new article entitled Medical Waste. Ordinance 2025-3 is an ordinance creating the position of municipal engineer and establishing the terms of appointment, compensation, and benefits under NJSA 48:9-140 and NJSA 40:69A-95. The resolution being presented for your consideration is resolution number 29, which is a resolution that was tabled from the January 21st meeting, authorizing the Willingboro Municipal Utilities Authority to utilize designated storage space in the municipal library basement under a memorandum of agreement. Resolution number 36 is a resolution authorizing the approval of vouchers for payment and ratification. Resolution number 37 is a resolution authorizing a change order number 1 for Lee's Pristine Cleaning LLC for the provisions of custodial service to the Township of Willingboro. Lee's Pristine did a deep cleaning in the library in preparation for them to take over that cleaning contract. Although they did the cleaning in 2024, the billing came in 2025, so we just needed to amend the not-to-exceed amount for their 2025 contract to cover those additional costs. Resolution number 38 is a resolution authorizing change orders number 6 and 10 for a contract with Levy Construction for the Willingboro Performing Arts Center Phase 1 renovation. Resolution number 39 is a resolution authorizing the First Amendment to agreement with Virtual Health Incorporated for the provision of advanced life support services transportation. Most first aid organizations in the state have the ability to recoup fees from insurance companies for billing. The hospitals have those same abilities to recoup expenses for transport for their services through insurance billing. However, paramedic services don't really have the capacity to transport individuals to the hospitals. So when they rely on the municipalities to do the transport, they reimburse them or give them a portion of their payments. So this is just establishes the ratios and the amount for non-Medicare and Medicare payments. So that's what this resolution pertains to. Resolution number 40 is a resolution authorizing the submission of application to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for the Food Pantry Study 2025. We did receive notice from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs that we were eligible to be awarded a $500,000 grant to study to conduct a food pantry study. This is just authorizing the submission of that application to the DCA. So hopefully we will wrap it up and receive those funds. Resolution number 41 is authorizing a fair and open contract to the New Jersey Animal Control LLC for animal control services for Willingboro Township. We have been utilizing animal control services for a few years now, and it has been working relatively well. This is to renew their contract. Although the resolution says $64,000, that is the not to exceed expense for that we anticipate to pay for this contract year, which includes their regular services and additional services that they've been called out to handle throughout the course of the year. So I believe last year we were just about 60,000. So this year we included the not to exceed amount at 64,000, anticipating covering all of the expenses related to animal control in Willingboro. Resolution number 42 is authorizing a fair and open contract to Belfour Property Restoration for emergency board-up services for Willingboro Township. We utilize emergency board-up services when there is a fire in someone's home and the property has to be secured. If the property is abandoned and in disrepair and the property has to be secure, that's why we utilize these services. We did go out to bid for these services, or we did an RFP last year for these services. The contract awardee has been zero responsive to our request for services here in Willingboro. So we are going to add on Belfour Property and award them. They were one of the respondents in the RFP to utilize their services. Resolution number 43 is a resolution authorizing contracts with Approved Educational Services Commission, also known as ESCNJ of New Jersey. It's a cooperative system to purchase certain services from them. Resolution number 44 is a resolution authorizing contracts with Omnia Partners, formerly U.S. Communities. This is also a cooperative contract vendor to purchase specific services from them as well. By law, whenever we utilize a state contract or a cooperative contract, we are required to we can only do so by resolution of the governing body. So it is standard practice for us to award these contracts every year. And then if something shifts during the course of the year, we may add or adjust, but this is a requirement to be compliant with our local public contracts laws. Resolution number 45 is a resolution authorizing Willingboro to enter into an agreement with KC Signs and Awnings. They are also a contract participant in the New Jersey State Approved Purchasing Cooperative for the purchase of park signs, municipal entrance signs, and related services. If you recall, last year we did include in our capital budget monies to include new signages. We did a survey to poll the residents what signs that they would prefer, and we took those responses and are going to go ahead and move forward with installing new Welcome to Willingboro signs and upgrading the park signs. And if anybody kind of wants to see what they kind of look like, they're very similar to the ones at the Lizzie Morris Field on Beverly Rancocas Road. So we're going to begin installing those in Willingboro as the weather breaks. Resolution number 46 is awarding a contract for public meeting agenda management system, and that is the Granicus system that we are currently utilizing. Resolution number 47 is authorizing the Township of Willingboro to enter into a contract with Main Access Systems for door card reader upgrades. We have the magnetic plates on the doors. We just need to upgrade some of those in some of our buildings. Resolution number 48 is a resolution requesting permission for the dedication by rider for donations, scholarship funds required by NJSA 40A:5-9. This is something that we need to do and able to receive monies and donations that we intend to turn around and pay out to scholarship recipients. So we need to create a dedication by rider line in our trust accounts so we can receive donations and then turn around and utilize those donations to give out scholarships. This line item has to be approved by the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs before we can implement and utilize it. And that is the only thing that this line item can be utilized for. It's scholarships, and that's it. So every dime that goes in is for scholarships, and every penny that goes out is in somehow related to scholarships. So we are going to submit the application asking them for permission to include this dedication by rider. Resolution number 49 is the resolution authorizing contracts with approved New Jersey state contract vendors. Again, this is a whole list of ones that we need to do business with in 2025. And then finally, resolution number 50 is a resolution granting a social affairs permit and authorizing the township clerk to certify the same application. And that is for Diamond Dogs Social Club on JFK Boulevard, JFK Way, JFK Way. And those are all of the items being presented to you for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. All right, for council, the items that I have to pull, okay. Now we'll have public comment. This public comment is for agenda items only, the agenda items that Mr. Harris just went over. If you have anything, any questions, comments, concerns, you can come up to the mic. For those, you have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open.
I have a question.
You can come up for public comment.
No, before, this is in regards to what we can speak to. Will there be a presentation by the Board of Education?
That's later.
Will that be able to be spoken to?
Yes, ma'am. Any public comment online?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Thank you. Seeing none? All right, we do have one.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I greet you in the name of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Can I have your name and address, please?
Martha Gunning, 146 Country Club Road, Willenboro, New Jersey.
Thank you.
My first question is, are you awarding any contracts to any companies that have denounced DEI?
These contract awards are contracts that are.
Mr. Harris, we'll wait until the end of public comment to respond.
That's my first question.
Mhm.
The other thing I want to address are the referendums. That's the 2 referendums that's being posed to the public regarding the school from the school district.
Ms. Gunning, we'll have that public comment after
Okay.
their presentation.
All right, well, my first comment would be, are you awarding contracts to companies that have renounced DEI?
Thank you, Ms. Gunning. Any other public comment? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Mr. Harris?
Again, as far as the companies, individuals, political positions, I can't say that I know if any of them have denounced DEI, but these contracts are contracts that are awarded through cooperative purchasing processes and are utilized for things like communication services, paper, cleaning supplies, things of those natures. But they're not really substantial heavy lift contracts, but specifically, I don't know what their personal corporate philosophies are in relationship to DEI.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Harris, for that response. I think, for some of our other contracts and definitely our professionals, we do interviews and have talked with our professional services to ensure that they support us as a township and as a people. All right. With that, the 2 items I have to pull for discussion are Resolution 2025-40 and 2025-50. Are there any other items that anyone would like to pull for discussion? None being heard, I move to do a consent agenda for agenda items, Resolution 2025-29 through 2025-39 and 2025-41 through 2025-49.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Whitfield and seconded by Deputy Mayor Worthy. Roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy?
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield?
Yes.
Thank you.
And now we'll go back for the ordinances. Oh, motion for approval of those. I need a motion for approval.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Worthy. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone?
Yes.
Councilman Anderson?
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy?
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield?
Yes.
Thank you.
And now we'll go back for the ordinances. Madam Clerk, ordinance 2025-4.
All right, so we have one ordinance for introduction tonight. Can I get a motion to introduce ordinance 2025-4 titled Ordinance Establishing Fees for Marriage or Civil Union Ceremonies Performed by the Mayor or Former Mayor, outlining reimbursement for expenses and authorizing payments?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Councilman Anderson.
Councilwoman Perone?
We have a discussion or?
Oh, you don't
Oh, do you want discussion?
Yes.
Discussion. Discussion?
Okay, thanks.
Councilwoman Perone?
So, I understand that, I saw some emails regarding this item, and it's to my understanding that, initially there was a fee, and, the fee was to be sent, the fee for the marriage licenses were used for the township, like to go back into the township's budget or to be used for the community. Is that right? Is that what we're changing? Like now we want to use it for some other purpose? Or are we not charging for the marriage license?
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes, go ahead, Councilman
So
Anderson.
initially, the marital fee was given to those who performed the weddings. I believe in 2019, when we were looking at doing the theater, the fees were reallocated for the theater. So now that that's up and underway, and those fees actually never went to the theater, they were earmarked, but never went there. So what's being asked is if we can revert back to having the individuals who perform the weddings continue to get those fees. I sat in on several weddings that Mayor McIntosh did, and it's a process. It's a lot that goes into it. So in the event the mayor's not available, another councilperson has to step up. You know, if we're taking time off from our job to do it or whatever it is, I just would like to see us get that fee and get compensated as it once was.
Okay. I don't know, for me, because we have a shared salary, I know that our salaries are shared as one per individual salary, and that we don't necessarily check into the building 9 to 5. I find that it's just a part of our fiduciary responsibilities as far as this position to conduct the marriages if we are able to do so. And if the mayor is not, then we have the deputy mayor and so forth. I don't see it something that we need to be additionally paid for. I find that our salaries are already what they are, and the fact that we meet twice a month, and of course, attend any other events that may take place, it's still not a 9 to 5 where I think there needs to be additional compensation. So for me, I would be okay with the money being used back for the township, to put back into the township budgets for other purposes, as opposed to just us individually. That's just my thought.
Any other discussion?
I just wanted to add, I don't have a issue with the efficient getting a portion of the money. I do, over the last 5 years of me doing the weddings, we did, with the registrar, did streamline the process quite a bit. So I would just say a portion should go back to the township for the facility fee or facility something. But I also think the increase may be a little bit excessive, in my opinion, for right now. Start from where we are right now. I don't know. The state, that fee, $25 goes to the state, correct? Or does it go to our?
So there is a fee that is required or paid to get a marriage license,
Yeah.
which is a separate fee.
Right.
And out of that, I believe it's $22 or
28.
25 at 3.
$25 goes
To the
The
state.
fee is, right, okay, 25 out of 28. $28 is the fee.
Mhm.
$25 goes to the state and the municipality keeps $3. That's for a marriage license.
Yeah,
But this fee is related specifically to the performance of the ceremony.
correct. Okay, so I mean, to me, that's the ceremonies lasted maybe 20 minutes. Maybe a little bit excessive, but I'd leave it up to the will of the council. Any other discussion? All right. Is there any desire to look over this further or adjust it? Or,
I mean, we could look at, looking at what the fee is and looking at adjusting the fee.
okay,
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
okay, so I move to table this one. So I'll need, Councilwoman Perone to retract your motion and Councilman Anderson to retract your second.
Madam Clerk, I move to retract my initial motion.
I retract my second.
All right, and I need a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ordinance 2025 just one.
I have three ordinances for public hearing and final adoption. We'll start with ordinance 1. I'd like to open the public hearing for ordinance 2025-1 titled Ordinance of the Willingboro Township, amending ordinance number 2023-01 titled An Ordinance of Willingboro Township to establish travel reimbursement regulations for township officials and township employees conducting official business. Anyone wishing to come forward to comment on this ordinance only, please do so. Anyone online?
Not at this time.
Seeing none, I'd like to close public comment on this ordinance. May I get a motion and a second to finally adopt ordinance 2025-1?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Mayor Whitfield. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 2025-2. I'd like to open the public hearing for ordinance 2025-2 titled Ordinance to Amend the Code of the Township of Willingboro, specifically Chapter 314 entitled Solid Waste by adding a new article entitled Medical Waste. Anyone wishing to come forward to comment on this ordinance only, please do so. Anyone online?
Not at this time.
Seeing none, I'd like to close public comment on this ordinance. May I get a motion and second to finally adopt ordinance 2025-2?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you. And finally, I'd like to open the public hearing for ordinance 2025-3 titled Ordinance Creating the Position of Municipal Engineer in the Township of Willingboro, County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, and establishing the terms of appointment, compensation, and benefits under NJSA 40A:9-140 and NJSA 40:69A-95. Anyone wishing to come forward to comment on this ordinance only, please do so. Anyone online?
Not at this time.
All right, seeing none, I'd like to close public comment on this ordinance. May I get a motion and second to finally adopt ordinance 2025-3?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you, and that is all I have for ordinances this evening.
We'll go to resolution 2025-40.
All right, so resolutions for separate discussion tonight. We have resolution 2025-40, titled Resolution Authorizing the Submission of Application Number 2025-09164-1117 to the NJ Department of Community Affairs for the Food Pantry Study 2025. Can I get a motion and a second to discuss this resolution?
So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Discussion?
Mr. Harris, can you explain this one a little bit more? I know you highlighted some things, but can you just go in a little bit more depth of what this is and what we're trying to accomplish?
So again, this was, or the purpose of this application would be to utilize surplus food donations from local businesses, grocery stores, farms, community members to create a dual-purpose facility here in Willingboro, serving as a food pantry and a community cafe. This project hopefully will emphasize the provision of affordable, nutritious meals while fostering a welcoming environment for social interaction, education, and community empowerment. There is an area to the right of our municipal library that is set up for some type of restaurant type of facility. For the longest time, it has sat vacant. And there has been an expressed interest in not only creating some type of food pantry holistic in the township of Willingboro, from the township of Willingboro. But we thought that that may be a wonderful way to utilize that space as well. So it really would be an opportunity for persons to have a food pantry that is a little bit more consistent than the library on Tuesday, this church on Wednesday, this facility on Thursday. And then it would be an opportunity for persons to come in and obtain jobs and provide cafe-type services to other members of the community, kind of like a pay-as-you-will or pay-as-you-can type concept. So that's what it was for, and we're going to utilize the $500,000 seed money from the state of New Jersey, hopefully to get this off the ground, and then hoping that it will become self-sustaining in the years forward.
And how could we become self-sustaining if we're going to rely on a grant initially, correct? And if that grant runs out, what happens? How do we fund it from there? Because I'm just a little bit concerned because Willingboro has a habit of getting with grants, and then at the end of the day, taxpayers end up paying, certain things because we don't maintain the grants, or considering a political environment, sometimes that can change, and then we're on the hook for a certain amount of money that taxpayers have to
Right.
encumber.
So the model, hopefully that would be subsequent donations would cover the operating expenses moving forward. And there are some, but they are pretty limited as far as personnel costs and things like that. Most of the expenses are related to getting the space renovated, purchasing small wares and shelving and things like that. Most of the food would be donated, and some of the services would be donated as well. So there would be salaries for like a manager, things like that, and then hopefully subsequent donations will cover those expenses. The property is owned by the township already, so there are no real estate expenses related to that. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll be partnering with Beloved Project. How did we select them?
That is conceptually the plan.
Okay.
They kind of, we kind of had a meeting and they kind of formulated how we could utilize that space.
Right.
So that concept was the basis for the grant application. But we don't have any contractual agreements with Beloved Project for that. And then if we were to move forward with them, then we would have to do some type of formal process to contract with them
Right.
for those services.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll just state for the record, I'm just concerned on the longevity of it. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I've seen over the years, we get caught on the hook after
Right.
certain grants don't come. And this, I mean, even the administrative costs, they're a cost.
They're cool.
So, okay. And I mean, are we overlapping what the county is responsible for?
The county doesn't, no, the county has their services. They will continue to provide those services, but these would be specific services for Willingboro. Hopefully
Surrounding,
Willingboro.
surrounding neighborhoods,
Right.
which is okay, but I don't want Willingboro on the hook of funding it and everybody,
Understood.
that's my concern.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Worthy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I understand what Councilwoman McIntosh is saying, and I would just add that something to consider is that because, and I think you mentioned it, because we do own the property, the township owns it, there are opportunities during the pilot to really evaluate what the costs are and how we're spending the grant. And if we see that this isn't something that would fit within perhaps our community affairs division, or it doesn't complement what other churches and other groups are doing where they may want to cover down, it may be an operation that we wind down and perhaps have someone else take the lead on. We do have a lot of churches that do similar work, but they don't have the space. And so there may be an opportunity where they're looking to provide the actual people so that they can use the space. It may also bring out different people who already have some of the skills, who'd be willing to work with the township or perhaps even rent the space and take over the operation. I think the good thing about the pilot with the money is we get a chance to kind of test it and really look at how the money is being allocated and then be able to predict what the expenses would be. And at the end of the pilot, then make a decision. I'm sure Mr. Harris will bring it back to the body for us to then decide how we want to proceed and how it impacts us financially. Thank you, Madam
Councilman-
Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Worthy. Councilman Anderson? Good. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll go to roll call.
All right. Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you. The second resolution for separate discussion tonight is Resolution 2025-50, titled Resolution Granting a Social Affairs Permit and Authorizing the Township Clerk to certify the same application. Sorry, can I get a motion and a second to discuss?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Any discussion? Being none, roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
No.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
No.
Mayor Whitfield.
No.
Thank you. And that is all the resolutions for separate discussion.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will quickly go through the vote for the treasurer's report and the approval of minutes, and then we will have the presentation for the school board.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve the January 2025 Treasurer's Report?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman McIntosh. Roll call.
Sorry, Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Can I get a motion and a second to adopt the January 14th Special Council Meeting Minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman McIntosh.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Abstain.
Councilwoman McIntosh,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
Thank you. You want me to do my report really fast?
We'll hold your report. The unfinished business on the pools, we will move to the February 18th meeting. And now we will go to new business. We have the Willingboro Township Board of Education here tonight to do a special presentation on the special election on the bond referendum that will take place on March 11th. Yep, please come forward, Dr. Outlaw.
Loading presentation.
There she-
I know.
No changes. Okay. They're in our control room.
Good evening, Dr. Outlaw.
Good evening, Madam President. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
All right. I'd like to bring greetings to the whole Willingboro Township. Can you hear me? Greetings. My name is Dr. Outlaw. I'm the superintendent of Willingboro Public Schools. As we move forward, I have over here my team that introduce themselves as they come up for their part of the presentation. Next slide, please. I would like to thank the Board of Education, President Ms. Deborah Williams, Vice President Ms. Cisse, the entire board. Some of them are in the back. If you can raise your hand, please. Some of them are in the back. Next slide, please. Please remember to go out and vote. We'll be voting all day. I believe it's 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, March 11th. Next slide. The district regularly monitors the facility issue. Then when we modify it and we monitor it, we then change our long-range facility plan. Staff reported numerous water leaks in the roofs that were seeping water into their rooms. That issue raised concerns that needed immediate attention. We looked at it and then we decided to go through and see how many schools had warranties on their roofs. And then we noticed that it was only one, and that particular school was Hawthorne Avenue School. Next slide. An infrared study was conducted, as you see by all the red markings there. It was done to see where the watermarks were actually located. So if you look at the drawing of the school, you'll see that all the red markings mean that water has went under the layer of blacktop that's on the roof. During heavy rains, you'll see water go in. It's a safety issue to have people up there because they can fall through the roof. So we've been patching it for 10 to 15 years. So we try not to continue with the patching. Next slide, please. Roofing makes up, we have two questions on the ballot. Roofing makes up 59% of the first question. It's not anything flashy. You're never going to see it. It's not going to be glamorous, but it's a want that we have to have in order to make sure that our school and our students are safe. Next question. Next slide, please. I want to point out again that the roofs are old. Only Hawthorne is covered by the warranty. One of the things that we noticed, or when I first got here, is sometimes we waste money doing repairs instead of replacing the whole thing. When we went, our boiler at Country Club went out. So we had to pay $250,000 for a temporary boiler, but then we also had to pay $250,000 for a new boiler. So we could have bought two boilers. Instead, we only got one. And so sometimes we have to replace things and get out the way and start over. You get next slide, please. Next up, I'll bring up Ms.
Marty Hill Parker, who's the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. Thank you, Dr. Outlaw. As he mentioned, my role is primarily to analyze our academics and identify our areas of strengths and our opportunities. We spend a lot of time looking at student data and meeting with teachers to identify what works and what we still need to do to improve. And one of the things that we've identified as helping is our intervention. It's no secret that our significant challenges over the past 5 years have included changes in academic standards or what we expect from our students and pandemic-related disruptions. Through that analysis, we've identified that our intervention or our targeted instruction in small groups and our tutoring have been the things that have impacted our data in a positive way, including accelerating student learning. Next slide, please. So as we're talking about the referendum, you might be wondering what's in this for academics? And the answer is a lot. And right where our data is telling us that we need to focus the most. Our striving scholars, or those that are still catching up, are currently experiencing classrooms or intervention classrooms that have a struggle to find dedicated space that's free from distractions. So often our striving students, they need a quiet space to learn. And right now they're currently sharing spaces in most cases. With intervention, the goal is not to replace your core instruction or what all students get, but to deliver it in short spurts, which is for us 20 minutes or less. And so if you have to redirect students and help them concentrate quite frequently, your efficacy of the program could be diminished. Reimagining intervention would be through more classroom space, through the gym annexes. Opening those new gym facilities could help free up a classroom or more, which would allow current intervention staff not to work in the same space. It also would allow for students in gym classes to actually experience gym in the way that we want them to, so not in a small space. It's kind of difficult to test the student on how fast they can run or what agility they have if you can't get a full stride. Again, we also are including our media centers. We want our learners to engage in spaces that we do as grown-ups. There are currently spaces around the country right now where people rent out space to work. We want our media centers to reflect that. So a learning space that has flexible seating, but is geared more to 21st century learning standards. Thank you for your time. At this time, I'll pass it to my partner, Dr. Lewis.
I got you. Next slide, please. There we go. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members. Thank you for having us tonight. Along with me, we have Ron Schwenke, Assistant Vice President at Land Associates. They are our architect and engineer of record for Willingboro Public Schools. Additionally, we have Mr. Peter Temperino, the facilities manager for the district, sitting in the back, supporting us from there. So the path to this referendum, the district has invested time, resources into our students, staff, and community. Investments in items such as playgrounds that are used by the community and students, stadium enhancements, security upgrades, and those are a few other items that stand out. Due to deferring maintenance, annual maintenance, there have been several items that are in desperate needs of repair and replacement. Next slide. We're coming to you today because we are going out for a bond referendum. Advantages of bond funding. School districts are able to sell bonds to investors to generate fundings for long-term solutions. The bond funding comes directly with the opportunity to get $21 million in state financial aid. With this aid, Willingboro residents already pay into the state funding. By going off a bond referendum, we removed large-scale costs from the operating budget to keep that focused directly on instruction. In the next couple of slides, we are going to talk about the needs and solutions and where this originated from. Mr. Swanky will take the lead, and then I'll come back. Mr. Swanky.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me this evening. I appreciate the opportunity to walk you through kind of the scope of work of this referendum. As noted by Dr. Lewis, my name is Ron Schwenke, Vice President of Land Associates. I've been your district architect for multiple years. I've been assisting the district with everything we've done up to date. I've been involved in the ESIP project, which is ongoing with the district as far as a budget neutral upgrade to building systems, energy related improvements. And here before you tonight to talk about a bond referendum. So what you see is what we often do. Land Associates, we're architects. We serve public school districts all over the state of New Jersey. We often get faced with this challenge. You exhaust your capital expenditures, you look at other avenues, you look at grant monies, you look at ESIP projects, which, for those of you who don't know, that's an energy savings improvement project. You get through that process and you realize, I still have a bunch of capital needs. How else can I do this? That's where you come to the public and ask for their investment in your facilities. So that's why we're here tonight. And as Dr. Lewis stated, when you go to a bond referendum, there are projects which are eligible to receive state aid. That is a huge part of this equation, because that eligibility literally is funding given to you to help support the district's needs. So when I make a submission to the district or to the New Jersey Department of Education, they agree to the requirements, they agree to my cost estimates, and then they deem what's eligible. That's what you're seeing tonight, this 42% discount. The state has said, we agree, Mr. Schwenke, these projects are eligible. We agree with your cost determinations, and we're going to help fund these projects. So that's literally what the opportunity presents, and that's why we go down this path. If you wouldn't mind, go to the next slide, please. So just to give you a feel, here's one of the gym annex additions that we've designed. This is for the Twin Hills Elementary School. We currently have 3 gym annex projects planned at each of the elementaries, Twin Hill Elementary, W.R. James, and Hawthorne Park. Those gym annexes, as discussed previously, will free up some classroom space, provide proper student athlete educational space and curriculum spaces that are currently not existent in those school facilities. And when you free up those classrooms, allow the district to subdivide some of the spaces that are currently seeing duality of use. If we go to the next slide, please. Roofing repairs. You're going to hear this as a common theme. As you saw from the intro, question 1, the roofing repairs are approximately 59% of the scope of work. I was involved in each one of these assessments by the company. What you're seeing there, just to give you a feel for that, and it was mentioned by Dr. Outlaw, is the red is moisture trapped in the building roof system. When you walk up on those roofs, they appear dry. You wouldn't know otherwise. What's happened over time is all that moisture has incidentally gotten into the roof system. It can only hold so much moisture. What you'll start to see is stained ceiling tiles, damaged ceilings, water on floors. If that exacerbates and gets increasingly problematic, then you start to worry about jeopardizing of the roof structure and roof deck. So I just want you to understand that every time you see that red, that says to me, all those areas of that roof are wet, and there's a finite return on investment of when you can make a repair versus where you just have to tear a roof off and start over. And that's what the districts realized. We're at that point where there's just no salvaging the roof. It would be too costly to do repair. It's time to tear it off and start clean. We're also going to do science labs. We have science laboratory renovations shown at the high school and the middle school. Science labs are very antiquated. It's existing labs. We're going to basically gut and refresh those spaces, bring in the new technology, equipment, furnishings you need to support today's educational curriculum. If you would go to the next slide, please. I'm going to walk through kind of each one of these buildings. Here's Memorial. It's again faced with a roof replacement, as you can see by that white area, a white overhead view of the roof with all the red. And as I've just mentioned, you can see in the lower left corner, this is a picture of the current science lab space. Nothing wrong with it, just neglected space that needs to be brought up to speed with what today's curriculum and educational system offers. The space just isn't conducive to the modern day learning environments. If you would go to the next slide, please. Here we are at James A. Cotton Intermediate School. This is one of the really, really bad roofs. Coincidentally, you know exactly where this building is. It kind of sits across the street here. We recently did a lot of work on the site. We're endeavoring to do a column repair on the entrance canopies. That's all out of the capital funds. But what we found here is this building's been neglected from the roof system, which is a common theme, and then the interior flooring. Dated, antiquated. We want to revive it, refresh it, get rid of any hazardous containing materials that can exist in floor tiles, and liven the interior of the space. We all know when you enjoy the space you're in, your performance is better, and that's what we're trying to accomplish with this equation. If you go to the next slide, please. Garfield East. So now we're going to talk early childhood development centers. So we have a common theme approach. One of the challenges with the early childhood centers is currently a lot of the educational spaces for early students does not have a toilet room located within those classrooms. The DOE standards, Department of Education, require those toilet rooms in those pre-K and K classrooms. That is to do one of two things. One, students have the needs, urgent needs, especially as little children, we all know. The other aspect that is currently, if a student has to be taken to the restroom, they have to be escorted by a teacher's aide or a teacher's staff. So now you're taking time away from the curriculum for the staff member to take those students down the hall. And every year your district applies to the Department of Education for toilet room waivers. It's basically an educational variance that you request because you don't have those in your facilities. The state historically has said yes, they could say no. So this is an opportunity to correct that wrong and resolve those waivers and get rid of that issue moving forward. We're also looking at a parking lot expansion and roadway at this facility. The reason being is A, there's inadequate parking. We've done some upgrades to the parking in prior years. However, there's just not enough of it. And the roadway will allow Peter Temporino and his team to better service the facility and get around that facility to service the exterior of the building. We'll also do roof repairs. So in some locations we've deemed, you can see the white image doesn't have as much red, still significant, but not as extensive. We're able to do a roof restoration where we'll do selective replacement and then restoration to get that building back under a roof warranty. If you would go to the next slide, please. You're going to see basically the exact same scope of work at J Cresswell, sorry. I always call it JC Stewart. Roof replacement in its entirety, and the same thing with the pre-K toilet rooms. We need to bring those toilet rooms into the classrooms to get rid of that need for the educational variance and waivers from the State Department of Education. And if you would go to the next slide. Media centers. It was mentioned libraries. Historically, libraries are full of books, wonderful resources, student activity. As we navigate into a technology-infused environment, some of the physical publications go away and you start the infusion of technology. Media centers have become educational spaces beyond the classroom. It's not just where you arrive to grab a book off the shelf. It's where sometimes you can have a breakout session or a class that utilizes that media center. The students have technology and Wi-Fi access at their disposal, and then you still keep all the importance of the books in physical volumes as well. What we're trying to do is upgrade those spaces, bring them to life that's very dim, dark, antiquated, old finishes, needs a reinvigoration of the space so that it creates the excitement and affords the student the opportunity they're looking for in the elementary schools. It's a common theme. We're looking to do media center renovations, I believe, at 3 of the schools. Yes, all 3 elementary schools. That rendition, by the way, is a rendering done by one of my team members to give a feel for what W.R. James could become. Next slide, please. Hawthorne Park Elementary School. We're back to the gym annex additions. Again, we've kind of talked about those. I won't reiterate all those facts and the reasons why. And then we're looking at the media center / library renovation at Hawthorne Park as well. If you would flip to the next slide. Twin Hills Elementary, starting to sound a little redundant, so I'll skip through and touch on the highlights. Again, this one had enough damage to the roof, enough moisture in the roof system. It requires a complete replacement. We're also upgrading the media center in this space. You can see the picture in the lower left corner there. It's just dark and uninviting. And when you're in a space that isn't vibrant, it kind of brings your mood down. We want to increase the vibrance of these spaces and bring the activity and life back to them. And then the lower right-hand corner is a small glimpse of what a gym annex edition. When we say a gym annex edition, it's a gym space for the younger students. It's really take a full basketball court, chop it in half. It's really a half court is what it is. Next slide, please. And then we'll go to W.R. James Elementary. You'll see a common theme. W.R. James warrants a complete roof replacement. The media center will be completely overhauled. That was the rendering I mentioned earlier. And then the gym annex edition, again, similar rendition of the gym annex, just to understand the scope of what we're looking at W.R. James. And if you would flip to the next slide. Then we get to the indoor track and basketball court complex. This is a unique opportunity, a vision of the district. We've looked at multiple sites around the district. I'm going to ask Dr. Lewis to come back up here and speak a little bit more about this. But what you're looking at is the interior of an indoor 200-meter track facility. It is a banked track facility. It'd be the only one in this region, maybe the state. And it is currently, we've looked at every location across the district from logistics, because this is going to bring a lot of traffic to the area. We looked at site proximity to the main thoroughfares, 295 and 130. And we've actually decided the best location for this is to plant this facility on the country club site. So behind the country club administration building would be this new track and basketball facility. There would be 2 indoor basketball courts as well as the indoor track, public restrooms, and all the amenities necessary to support full day events at this facility. I believe we have parking for, I don't even want to quote myself, but I believe it's 500 to 1,000 cars we're figuring in parking. And also bus parking, because we're envisioning student athletes coming in hordes to events focused at this facility. Dr. Lewis, I believe you have much more inspiration to the indoor track facility than I.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schwenke. When we looked at this facility, we also thought about, we understand that a school district in any community tends to bring a lot of appropriations, a lot of expense. So we thought about, okay, we want to bring revenue to the district, to the community. We want to invigorate the community by bringing additional people and showing the greatness that Willingboro has and what Willingboro is known for. And bringing an indoor track and field and basketball complex brings so many different revenue opportunities and revenue ideas that will come to the district, that will bring an additional influx of funds, not only to the district, but to the community. Next slide, please. This would be a beacon of borough pride. I know that when I used to run track in high school, Willingboro was always known as the home of track and field. When you look at the only competition in the area, this will stand out not only in the state, in the Northeast region, but Willingboro is already known for something great. We will continue to be known for greatness and continue to show off the beauty of this community. Next slide, please. So question 1 is turning imagination into action. Question 1 encompasses the roofing, the elementary gyms, the media center, the science lab, the floor replacements. That is a total cost of $49.7 million. But question 1 does bring the state aid. We would not be able to receive the state aid if we were not doing the bond referendum. It comes along with doing the bond referendum. We would receive approximately $21 billion. The local tax share for the average home assessed value would be approximately $14 per month. Next slide, please. Now, question 2, reimagining the unused field. Building the indoor track and field and basketball complex for an additional $9 a month on an average home assessed value, for a total of $23 per month, which is actually now is less than a Netflix account. But that, to kind of compare, that would bring, for additional $9 a month, we'll be able to do both the question 1 and question 2. Question 2 can only pass if question 1 passes. Question 1 does stand on its own. Question 2 is contingent only if question 1 passes. So it does not stand on its own. Next slide, please. I want to reiterate the assessed value is not the market value. So what we have in today's day, right, is that you might see a house that sells for $400,000. That is not the assessed value. That might be the market value or what somebody's willing to pay for it, but that is not the home assessed value. You can go to njpropertyrecords.com, put in your address, you look down to public record, look at assessment, and you'll be able to see 2024 what your home was actually assessed at. And then you could do the calculation from there to get an estimate of where your share would be. Next slide, please. The power of state aid. For Willingboro Public Schools, that's approximately $21 million. State aid is already collected from all New Jersey taxpayers and can only be shared when voters approve a bond referendum. Next slide, please. So we asked the community, we asked the council members to join us for a virtual town hall on February 12th at 6:30. You can go to willingboroschools.org/reimagine for the direct link. We also have various town halls at the various schools within the district each week. This week, tomorrow, we'll be at J.C. Stewart. That will give the opportunity for community members to ask and have a question and answer session with the administration and with our professionals at that time. On February 18th, we will be at W.R. James. And if you go to the website again, willingboroschools.org/reimagine, you'll see the list of all of the town halls that will be available to open to all community members. Next slide, please. So we ask you to come out and vote Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. The polls open at 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. They are your normal polling locations, and vote by mail ballots have already been sent out, but they must be postmarked by March 11th. Again, willingboroschools.org/reimagine. If any community members have any questions, you can email us at reimagine@wboe.net. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Outlaw, Dr. Lewis, and team for that presentation. Now I'd like to move on. Do we have any discussion or questions from the council? Councilman Anderson?
Yes. Thank you for the presentation, the information. But I do have a series of questions, being a homeowner, taxpayer in the community. Now, I understand you stressed the need for the roof project to be done because of the leaks and so forth. But my question is, last year you guys installed the turf field. You redid the gym. You redid the fields at Memorial. Where was the priority for the roofs? So just looking at it, I would have thought, as you prioritize, the roofs would have come first if it was that urgent prior to the fields. That's the first question. Have you informed the homeowners surrounding the board office about the potential development of the athletic complex? And once again, it's just questions I'm asking, just to put out there. Has a traffic study been conducted to assess the high traffic events? Have any studies been done on potential noise impact during high traffic events? What percentage of the students are involved in sports, broken down by gender, sports, and grade level? Based on the information I received, both Q1 and Q2, question 1 and question 2, will have a total impact of $23 per month, price of a premium Netflix subscription, as it's been stated. But that, when you multiply it by 12, is $276 per year. This bond referendum is for 20 years. So that's based on the numbers here, if they're correct, $5,520 over the next 20 years. If this is correct, I will ask, what data did you use to get those numbers? Because we do have a large number of homes where they're 100% tax-free. They don't pay taxes. So was that taken into consideration as these numbers are being delivered? Let's keep in mind that Willingboro High School just installed a new turf field, got the baseball field at Memorial, renovated a gym, which has caused an increase in the current tax base. This new initiative will generate another tax increase. And let's not forget, the state mandated reevaluations on every home that's taken place in every community. We don't know as to date who's going to be impacted and what that impact looks like. Not to mention the upcoming increases due to our daily living products and goods due to a newly implemented tariffs that's being placed on Canada. Mexico is on hold right now, but we also got to consider, China. What will that look like for the average home buyer? So is it true that the Willingboro Board of Education expects to generate $200,000 on a yearly basis? It's my understanding, I believe the sports complex in, I believe Moorestown or Mount Laurel, that's what they generate, if I'm not mistaken. So my question here is, if so, where do you have this data to back it up, if that is the number? And is it also true that if you eliminated some of the top-heavy administration positions, you could also generate the same savings? So that's, once again, just food for thought. So I'm not in favor, and I'm speaking as an individual, not as the council, but I'm not in favor of the upcoming bond referendum for the new athletic complex. While I understand the importance of extracurricular activities and athletics for our students, I believe the primary focus should be on addressing the current needs of our school buildings and improving academic achievement. Our schools are in desperate needs of upgrades, including improvements to classrooms, bathrooms, and all infrastructure. These are the basic conditions that directly impact our students' education. And I worry that without addressing these issues first, we are investing in something that does not benefit all students equally. Additionally, I am concerned that the bond will increase taxes over the next 20 years, and yet we still may be asked for more funding for necessary upgrades to the existing school buildings. I believe it would be more prudent to prioritize improving the learning environment and addressing the fundamental needs of our schools before investing in a new athletic complex. Please be reminded that in 2010, the Willingboro Board of Education did a bond referendum for approximately $67 million for repairs and upgrades. We are still paying for this tax increase up until 2030. While I recognize the value of sports and physical activities, I believe that our focus should be ensuring that every student has access to quality learning space, academic resources, first and foremost. At the last State of the District in 2024, the New Jersey standardized test scores were well under par. My final statement, in my opinion, access to a quality education for all should not take a back seat to the athletic facilities for some, especially for those children who do not, for those parents who do not have children in the district. We have many children that don't participate in the district. So if we're going to do a tax increase, and this is also something that every resident will not have access to. So if you look at the turf field at the high school, can you go up there on your own and just walk the field? No. But so what I'm looking at is, these are the facts that I just want to point out. Now, on the other hand, the township has multiple projects going on. But what we did was we were fiscally responsible and waiting until some of our debt went down to put these new projects in place. We have a sports complex coming, a turf field, other athletic equipment. The Kennedy Center is being renovated. We have a Willingboro Performing Arts Theater. And guess what? None of it is at an increase to the taxpayers because we were fiscally responsible in how we planned it and how we considered your dollars, not what we thought as a council was needed for some, but for all. And these opportunities that the township is creating will have access to all and not just some. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Any other comments from council?
Madam Mayor, I just have one question.
Councilwoman McIntosh?
Thank you. This is a question, I have a question also. Thank you. Thank you so much for that comprehensive report. I think it was needed to let residents make their own decisions and residents to be empowered with the information. So I definitely appreciate this comprehensive report or presentation, and you taking the time to come to a council meeting to make sure it's a broader audience for your presentation. But I do have one question in terms of the facilities. If this were to go through, the referendum were to go through, would we be did y'all do a comprehensive analysis of the buildings so that we wouldn't have any more surprises going forward? Are the floors okay? Are the walls okay? Are the facilities okay after the roofs are done? You know, and I'll say for the next 5-10 years. Have we done an analysis of that, a comprehensive analysis of the buildings outside of the roofs? Because if we invest in the roofs, that's a tax increase. Is there going to be something else later on? I think the residents would want to know that. You know, are there anything that you foresee, big investments that you foresee in the near future?
Yeah, I'll have them come back and answer.
Anybody else?
Any other comments? And, okay, Councilwoman Byrne. I'll ask them to come back up.
Thank you. Yeah, I did appreciate the report as well. It was informative. There were some valid questions from council already asked, so I'm looking forward to some of those responses. I do want to just point out that with regards to the presentation, there are concerns that I have just as an individual resident, to be honest with you, for the safety of the children. It's evident that the roofs need to be replaced. Whether or not it was oversought before, it didn't happen sooner. At the end of the day, I find that we should support the school district at least to get these roofs up to par, so this way our students are in a safe environment. And I would like to hear with some of the questions that Councilman Anderson had asked about certain reports, have they been looked into? Outside of that, I do think that we are one community, and sometimes we fall short, and just working together as one community to help another group, I think is what is needed right now. I don't have small children in schools anymore here, but I know a lot of people who do. And I would be very concerned if my children were at school right now in one of those buildings after I saw that report. So it seems like they've exerted the funding that they do have, and they will be getting more funding if everything is approved. I think that just working together to try to get everything up to par will be my greatest concern and point that I was trying to make. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Perrin. Dr. Worthy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Dr. Outlaw, Dr. Lewis, for the presentation and the team. I also want to say I appreciate you all coming out to do the presentation in this way to engage the entire community. I did get my mailer. I appreciate you all sending the mailer out so that the entire community had an opportunity to see it. I know the mail-in ballots have gone out, and so hopefully people will take a moment to participate in a town hall or listening tonight to hear what's going on before they cast their vote. So I do appreciate that. This is probably my third time hearing the presentation just from different meetings in different settings. So I do appreciate the refinement of the presentation. One thing that I didn't hear mentioned that I think is important for the community to know, one thing, when Dr. Lewis and I think Dr. Outlaw came to the district, there wasn't a capital reserve for long-term projects. And so a lot of people had asked, why didn't the district already have this money to just go buy these roofs? Like, like you with the house, you save money up because the hot water heater is going to go out and things like that. And so the district didn't have a long-term capital reserve. And so something that has been established, because I was asking a lot of questions, well, how do we keep this from happening again? Are we going to be in the same situation again, to some of the comments that were made? So they have established this capital reserve, and it's going to take time to build that capital reserve, and supporting the roofs that roof project will allow them to be able to move forward with that and not have to use the educational money for, roofs and infrastructure projects. I do have some additional questions. I've asked them previously about the actual building, the inside athletic facility. So I do look forward to more discussion and dialogue about that. And to Councilwoman Perón's point, yes, we're one willing borough, and I do look forward to opportunities to synergize sooner, so that we can plan out sooner, so that we can figure out how we can respond to our residents' needs together, and maybe we won't end up in a situation like this where we're at the last minute, we're getting the presentation. I'm happy to have the conversation, but if we had started the conversation earlier, perhaps we could have come up with some more creative solutions for the community. So I do appreciate the outreach. I look forward to more conversations, more synergy. We've already talked to, we're meeting with the recreation. We've met with Assistant Superintendent Marty Hill Parker on synergizing even on instructional programs, how we can enhance our summer camp programs, how we can have more redundancy in those areas, how our Willingboro Public Library can offer some literacy programs. And so we are, as a community, trying to respond to some of the challenges that we're having instructionally, and I think helping to resolve this infrastructure piece is a really important piece. Thank you, Councilman Anderson, for your questions, and I do look forward to continued conversations and a few responses if they have answers tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Worthy. All right, I'll ask Dr. Outlaw and Dr. Lewis if you'd come forward and maybe answer some questions or maybe offer some responses. And as he's coming up, I'd just like to say, one, thank you everyone for coming out to hear this important conversation and presentation from our school board. It is a big decision. It is a big ask, but the decision is in your hands, the residents' hands. There are two questions. It is broken up in those critical infrastructure repairs, and then also the indoor track facility. I think that I would have liked to see some creative solutions, as Dr. Worthy put it, for the track facility. I know we do acknowledge that there is a need for an indoor sports facility here in Willingboro. We have, as a council, have been exploring ways to do a public-private partnership, possibly on the Grand Marketplace site. We've been asking and presenting that opportunity to developers, but we are still looking for a partner to do that. So if anyone knows anyone that is interested in helping our town out with that effort, please send them our way. But I'll turn it back over to Dr.
One of the things that our consultant talked about was making sure this was just for information and then for us to get all the questions, and then that way we can answer them fully. I'll answer the question about, is this it with the repairs? I think the total amount was what, 200 million, something like that? Yeah, so when we talk about what is the true scope, right? We have to look at what we have is called the Long Range Facilities Plan. That looks at the whole district in totality to see what are the needs of the district. We know that we have a limited bonding capacity, and that's why we shrunk it down. But the total needs of the district, which includes HVAC, electrical, and to put it to the standards that Willingboro deserves, is about 177 million. And that's at the current rates, not inclusive of any inflation, not inclusive of any possible future tariffs or any increase of labor. So that's the long range facilities plan. Now, as our Deputy Mayor, Dr. Worthy, stated, prior to this administration, the district had no reserves. We have two reserve accounts: capital reserve, which is necessary for capital improvements or capital emergencies, and maintenance reserves, which is used for general maintenance of the facilities. Part of the issue was that annual maintenance was not being done appropriately in the past. For whatever reason, we don't disparage anybody from the past. For whatever reason, it was not done. And that's why our roofs are out of warranty. Now, what we have done is we started to build up both reserve accounts, which now have approximately $2 million in it. That's not enough to do a roof. That's not enough to do the projects that are listed in this referendum. Part question was, why did you do the track and why did you do this and not the roof? Part of that is because of the state aid. And the state aid is only available on these aspects that the state finds deemable to invest in. And the ancillary things were not part of that. So that's why we rolled that into the general fund, because we thought coming together and putting this package together, knowing the needs of the district and not piecemealing it over time, which would increase costs and have a liability for our students, our staff, and our community, because God forbid something falls. So part of that is getting the state aid of approximately $21 million that will help the district, help the community fund these projects.
Also, a lot of our students, when they were playing on the football field, they were actually getting hurt. We actually then had to use JFK. We actually used the center in order for the track team to practice. So now they're still running through the hallways and things like that well before. But this was also a safety issue because they would get hurt because when it rained, you know, it's swampland, it goes up and down, and then you got crevices here and there. So the kids who will be playing football will sprain their ankle a lot. So that was one of the reasons behind the football field as well. So Councilman, Mr. Anderson, if you email me your questions, I'll make sure I get them to you, a response to you, okay? Also, I'll send you my phone number. So if any community members have questions, they can also call me. Oh, you have it already. You can give it to her. All right.
Will do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we'll open up for public comment on this presentation. This public comment is for 4 minutes. You'll have 4 minutes. Please come to the mic stand or raise your hand online and state your name and address before you speak. Public comment is now open. You can come up to the microphone.
I would like to speak. I'll wait until last. If there's someone online, I yield to someone online.
You can come first.
Or if there's anyone in the public audience who'd like to speak.
Come on up to the microphone.
We will overcome today. Martha Gunning, 146 Country Club Road.
Good evening, Ms. Gunning.
Good evening. To the Board of Education members, any members from the Board of Education here? To the Board of Education members, to the dedicated administrators, teachers, staff, and our students. Please know, please understand that I stand here not as an adversary, but as a supporter, along with every member of this community who supports you, our schools, and want the best education for our children. Congressman Anderson, you read my notes. You read my notes. You read my notes. And when you said about alternative means, you read my notes. So I'm gonna be very brief because would someone like to yield me their time? But I just want to add that we're living in a different time. When you went to bed last night and woke up this morning, the world wasn't the same way it was when you went to bed. It was not the same. Our dictator is demonstrating every day what he meant when he said he wanted to be a dictator for a day. Today he said he's going to abolish the Department of Education, and he will do it. So what does that mean for the $21 million that you're expecting? The cavalry is not coming. Also, I just want to talk about the burdens, the uncertainty that taxpayers are facing, the residents are facing. How many people here do we know where employment has been affected, it's going to be affected by the purging of this government that trickles down? How do we know how many people are employed or unemployed based on the policies that are being made? How do we know that tomorrow we won't have to stand and salute when the bell rings? We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring because it's shifting. The only constant we have right now is God. But I want to say this. If Elon Musk can appoint himself a czar and confiscate our federal government and our currency and go in and steal all of our money, I'm going to appoint myself czar of alternative changes to the referendum, because I feel that the referendum, that this community cannot afford the referendum. Timing is everything. Yes, our roofs need to be replaced. And therefore, I want to ask the representative, the architecture. So are you still here? Would you come over, please? I have a question I'd like to ask you. Okay, now I would like for you to work with a group of citizens to come up with alternative means to get the roofs placed.
Ms. Gunning,
There's no doubt that the roofs need to be replaced.
Ms. Gunning, your comment should be to the
Oh, I'm sorry.
council.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I would like to ask, and I would like to speak with I plan to speak with the architect to see what alternatives we can come up with to a referendum, because we can't afford to have residents
Ms. Gunning.
in the district say,
Ma'am, it's your time.
Your time.
okay. Is my time up?
Mhm.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
My time may be up, but there are
Thank you,
alternative
Ms.
ways.
Gunning.
There are alternative ways to get the roofs repaired. Yes, we will get the roof repairs, and we will get the roof repairs without having a bond referendum.
Thank you, Ms. Gunning. Any other public comment?
Hi, Micah Schaefer, 112 Niagara Lane. I have a question concerning the closed and abandoned schools in Willingboro that are sitting there and rotting, like in my neighborhood. What have we thought about doing with them? Have we considered selling the land to a developer and having homes built and have more taxpayers in our community? They're ugly and they're dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schaefer.
Yes, William Weston, 44 Bosworth Lane. And this is to the school board. And I thought Councilman Anderson did make a good point, the roof and the track. And I just want to get some warm and fuzzies that if the bond referendum were to pass, that the school district will be good stewards. And also, what is the plan if the first referendum does not pass? Like, if it doesn't happen, what would you do? And currently, the district school tax is about 2%. And I was just wondering how, if the first referendum was to pass, how that would impact that 2% tax rate. And that concludes my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weston. Any other public comment in the room?
Good evening, Marcus King, 135 Torrington Lane.
Good evening, Mr. King.
My concern is, and I've gone to school board meetings, and one of the concerns that the administrator brought up, he polled the teachers throughout the schools of Willingboro, and what was their number one issue that they wanted to get resolved, and that was the roofs. So this issue has been a long-term issue. My biggest concern that I need everybody to know that when Dr. Lewis talked about the warranty on the roof, it's not a warranty. What it's going to cause is a bigger problem for all of us in Willingboro. Because if somebody gets hurt because of that roof, then we're all liable to get sued. So I don't know that this is something that we want to play with when it comes to the roofs. I think it's something that has to be done. The warranty is not to fix the roof. The warranty is the safety of those children and anyone who's in the school. So I hope everybody takes this a real consideration. I know we're thinking about the money of what it is, but we also have to think about the safety for our children in the schools, because if something happens, then we're all liable for being sued, and then it will come out of taxpayers' money. So just something to think about.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Nahemia Claude, 15 Crestview Court. Good evening, everyone. I hope you are doing well tonight. I come before you not just as a resident, but as someone who deeply cares about the future of our community and the opportunities we create for our students. Before I begin, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the township and district leaders for your dedication and hard work in shaping Willingboro's future. It is my hope that we continue to see the power of unity between our district and our town as we continue to make important decisions together. I know that the upcoming referendum may feel overwhelming with a lot of information to digest before the March 11th deadline. I want to take a moment to acknowledge and appreciate every resident who has been actively attending meetings, researching through the school website, reading materials sent in the mail, and spreading the word about these proposed changes. Your engagement shows the strength of our community. I am not here to tell anyone how to vote, but I do want to speak on both questions on the ballot. I encourage everyone to consider not only what is financially feasible for them, but also what kind of future we want to create for the generations that will follow us. Question one focus on essentially facility improvements, expanding instructional spaces, replacing aging roofs, modernizing media centers, upgrading science labs, and making critical repairs that go beyond the regular school budget. The state has committed $21 million in aid towards these projects, which is a major opportunity that we should consider. Having personally walked through the hallways of our schools, I can say with certainty that these repairs are necessary. Just as we maintain and update our homes to prevent costly damages in the future, we must do the same for our schools to avoid even greater financial burdens later. Improving instructional spaces will also directly enhance academics, especially in the libraries, places that played a crucial role in my educational journey where I both received and gave tutoring. I'm excited to see the positive changes that question one can bring to our district. Now, question two. Question two presents an opportunity to build in indoor sports. Willingboro has always been a place of greatness, especially in athletics. Our students earn D1 scholarships and go on to achieve remarkable successes. Right now, Toms River is the only indoor track facility in New Jersey where high school and collegiate athletes compete. Imagine if Willingboro could be home to such a facility. Not only would it serve our students, but it could also generate revenue for our district, potentially alleviating future tax burdens. This is an investment in our students, our community, and our future. We often hear about what Willingboro isn't, but this referendum gives us the chance to shape what it can be. This decision is in the hands of our community, and I trust that you will choose what is best for you, your family, your neighbors, and most importantly, our students, the future of Willingboro. Thank you for your time, and may God bless our community.
Thank you, Ms. Claude.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam President.
Not anymore, but it's
Oh.
okay. Thank you for the
Sorry.
acknowledgement. April
Former
Michelle Maxwell Henley. I am speaking as a community member and not as a board member. You've heard it all. I'm going to try not to be redundant, but I am going to be all over the place because I, too, have questions. Deputy Mayor Nat Anderson. Our schools are the foundation of our community, and this referendum gives us the opportunity to invest in the necessary improvements. So I do appreciate the council people who did say they were in favor of question number one because the roofs are leaky. So if we think about it, we're not just a school district just for the students that are in our building. We're also a community hub because the township utilizes our buildings as well for their recreational team. So would you want the kids to go into our schoolhouses with leaky roofs? I don't think so. So that's the question I have for you all. Because we do share some services, right? It's not an agreement, but we do share some services. So that's one thing. The other thing, to Deputy Mayor Anderson, do you live in Willingboro or do you own a home in Willingboro? Do you pay taxes in Willingboro? But this is my time, so you can answer later. Okay? Our school buildings, they are aging. And they're in need of essential repairs and upgrades to ensure a safe, modern learning environment, just like Board Member Nehemia Claude just stated. We need to fix the leaky roofs. We need to upgrade the libraries. Our Board President, Deborah Williams, every time we do a walkthrough, I'm sick of her telling me, these thesaurus and dictionaries was here when I graduated. That's how old they are. So are we really doing the right thing by our students? Or what? We're just putting Band-Aids. That's what we're doing. That's what we've been doing. We've been putting Band-Aids. So we need to fix that, and we're asking for your support. Now, for question number 2, I know many are saying that's not a necessity, but the way the board thought about it, and let me speak for myself, scratch that. The way I thought about it when it was presented to me and when we had this wonderful idea as a board, it was that we can generate some revenue to offset the cost from the taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer. I got 3 kids. I don't want my taxes going up. But when I look at the whole, and some people may disagree, and I don't even care. Some people claim the school board raised taxes. We raised taxes in 23. We are entitled to increase taxes by law 2%. Am I right or wrong? Yes? Okay, 2%. So we've only raised taxes. We haven't raised taxes in 7 years prior to 2023. So let me think. I'm not a mathematician. So 7 times 2%, that's 14% the community should be giving the school district, but we did not do that. I don't know. You might want to get up here and ask them when it's your turn. But I'm just asking for y'all support, really. I'm asking for y'all support. And now I did a little research myself. How much time I got? 54 seconds. Daggone it. Okay, but that's okay. I pulled out my own tax assessment, right? So my home, where I live at, is $155,100. So that's $155,100 times the tax impact per year, which is 0.00105. That would be roughly $162 per year. Divided by 12 is $13 a month. That's what it is. It's $13 a month. I buy a cup of coffee from Wawa almost every day. I'll sacrifice for these kids because they deserve it. They deserve it. And to have a council person knock down both of them, I mean, you can vote how you want because your vote is your voice. Do what you feel. I don't care about that because you're only one vote. I have to just go find 10 other people, right? But it's disgusting because the district does have a partnership with you all. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I see a trap. She healed in time. I got and another thing. No, I'm just joking. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Justine Vargas. I'm at 112 Hampshire Lane. My husband and I just moved into the township about a year ago. And the reason that we moved here is because of the community, the demographic, and the neighborhoods really felt like our childhood in the 90s. We graduated from public high schools, and I earned my bachelor's degree in the first of my family and my master's degree too. I credit that to my family, but truly who deserves the praise were the educators because my parents pushed me forward, but they pulled me up. They always made me feel like my potential was limitless, and they taught me the value of learning. So did my community when they showed up at council meetings and board meetings, and they advocated on behalf of the things that we wanted, which is to keep our teachers employed. I hear a lot of people in the Facebook groups and community groups constantly complaining that they wish businesses would come into Willingboro and transform this place because businesses create revenue. Here's your chance, and I'm calling on my neighbors. We live in Hawthorne. We're childless taxpayers who are willing to endure $30 a month even 40. If it means the kids that we see every day being dropped off at Hawthorne High School and being picked up by their parents or whomever it may be, have the access to a learning environment even better than what I had. A lot of people like to say, it's not about them, it's about me. And you're right, it is about me. It's about all of us as neighbors. We're the community that they're going to remember that they grew up in the same way I remember mine. And it's our decisions that are going to impact them forever. Forget kindergarten, forget high school. Look at us as adults in our careers, in our lives. Don't you want the same for them? As I ask people to heavily consider what this means for the future of the children here who will grow up to be the neighbors somewhere else, voting somewhere else, own that responsibility that you have and do right by them. I ask our officials too, that if you want us to back you, remain transparent. I work in higher ed and I have worked in nonprofit grassroots movement my whole life. I do not lend my voice lightly when I advocate for things that I think are important. I expect you all to pay it forward in the same way that I expect my neighbors to pay it forward in the same way I will too. And whoever was responsible truly for putting the marketing materials together, thank you for making it as comprehensive as it was. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vargas.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Williams. I live in Rittenhouse Park. And I will say I've been very disappointed with the so-called leadership of Willingboro because you do not really represent and help the people the way you should. I have even suggested that certain people who don't perform their jobs need to resign or be fired. You haven't done that. I actually came here to speak on behalf of an elderly lady in my development that you're not providing proper services to, and you've been ignoring me. I've been coming here since February regarding recycling for Rittenhouse Park and the other townhouses that are being ignored. And I said, you don't treat us like residents here. You treat us like, initially said stepchildren, but then I said outcasts, and you do. There are people who are leaving out because they're not happy with the services here. And I've been living in Willingboro since '73. And things have changed. And when you hear the word ghetto, you get upset, but it has gone down. And I will say this, with the Board of Education, children are the future, and you should be fighting with everything to keep it, because Donald Trump is trying to eliminate education, especially when it comes to Black history, the Holocaust. He doesn't want that known. I also want to say, usually when school is in concern, it's always the teachers' aide, the cafeterias. They're the first ones laid off, when I think you should go to the top, to the superintendent, because they're not making things, doing things right to be run. So stop going to the lower and deal with the top, because they get paid the top dollars to make the programs work right. But on behalf of the lady, and I'm willing to yield my time to anybody else with the information on the school. I wasn't aware that that was going to be discussed. But we're wasting tax dollars on closed schools that you could otherwise be using that money wisely for. And there's a lot of wasted dollars here in Willingboro that could be used otherwise. The roads here are pathetic. You come into Willingboro from other Route 130, and Willingboro is the worst ever. And I don't know why you're not doing anything about that. But on behalf of this elderly lady, I have been coming here since February complaining about recycling. The single-family home dwellings have gotten theirs quite a while ago. We're still waiting on ours. 618 units in Rittenhouse alone, and not even half the people have gotten theirs. I don't think I've counted 200 people. And people that I personally provided the slips with, because they're being ignored, still being ignored. They're not getting it, and we're paying the taxes they're entitled to it. But this elderly lady almost fell because she's not allowed to receive the smaller one You're giving her the large one. And that's not right. So you're also wasting tax dollars because the smaller ones cost less money, but you're insisting that we all get the large recycling. We should have had them, according to Mr. Provogel, by 2022. It's 2025. I've had mine since 2019. And recently got a few neighbors theirs because they were being ignored. So you need to stop ignoring the people of this town who pay our taxes and services are not, and I will say, they're not good. So you need to fight for our children. You need to listen to everything these people are saying. They're the future of the children, and the children look up to them. So listen to them for a change. Help Willingboro. Bring it back to what it used to be. And it's far gone from now. So again, I would like from you, Mr. Harris, to address services that we, the townhouses.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
Hi, this is my first council meeting and I will say it's quite interesting and entertaining at the same time, but
Your name and address, please.
I'm here, I'm sorry, 46 Buttercup Lane. I'm
And your
not
name?
from Willingboro, but this is my second home in Willingboro and I've been drawn back to this community.
And your name?
Jennifer would like to help in any way that I can. I am here to advocate for Burlington County Animal Shelter, but since it's a public forum, there are a few things I would like to address, some concerns that I have. And one is the street repair. That specific street on Buttercup Lane it looks like it's never been repaired, ever. It's cracks everywhere. And I think this spring, PSE&G came through to do some work, and they never came back to get all the gravel up that is on the street and the spray paint. Despite my physical limitations, I've got out there several times, got it up only for it to just come back because it's on the entire street. I'm hoping that we can get that resolved, as well as issues I've had for years since I've been in this home, for about 12 years, is both of my neighbors have sumac poison ivy growing over my fence to where it has ruined my fence. I have before and after pictures. I have had sumac poisoning so many times I lost count. I had to get on steroids every time. I could provide medical proof of that. And the inspectors have done nothing about that. The only time something was done was when there was an inspector here named Barbara, but I know she's retired now. Other than that, they have done nothing to address it with the other neighbors. I have spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Roundup. I'm on Social Security. I cannot afford that. I really hope it's addressed before the weather breaks. The other issue I would like to address is, will there ever be a school tax break for seniors? I just feel at some point, again, with just being on the income, relying on that of Social Security and being single, it is very difficult, in terms of taxes and everything like that. My neighbor, last issue I'd like to address is, handicapped, and she is completely bent over and walks with the cane. She has her trash cans in front of her garage to help her. We help her pull the trash cans down, but just for her to put her bags in there. And she was told that she would be fined if she did not move her trash can or her recycling bin. And I just feel that's so unfair. I really do, for a senior. If you're doing it for someone else that is in good health and is not a senior and is not walking with a cane and bent over, that's just so unfair. It really is. And maybe you can address that maybe with individuals that can prove that they have disabilities and allow some sort of, leeway for them. You know, I think that's it for now, and I just thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Crystal Wilson, 35 Somerset Drive here in Willingboro. I wear many hats here in Willingboro. I'm a resident of over 25 years, preschool instructional coach here at Willingboro Public Schools, PTA, parent-teacher liaison, and I'm also an officer with the Willingboro Education Association. As mentioned during the presentation about the referendum, the replacement of the roofs for the schools, with the exception of one, I want to say personally, I work at the school with the worst roof in the district. So what does that mean for me and my scholars? Constant leaks from the ceiling in almost, not I'm going to say every classroom, but in many classrooms, offices, and the hallways. Teachers, students, and even our principal are currently displaced due to some of the latest series of leaks. What else is associated with standing water? Can anybody tell me? And structures? I didn't say it. We cannot subject our most precious population to these hazards. Patch jobs are just not it. I'd like to say thank you to Councilwoman Perrone for showing your concern about the safety of our scholars. Also, within the referendum, it includes replacing floors in some of the schools. Does anybody know what the floor tiles are made out of? Well, the building that I'm in was built in 1958. I don't know about you guys, but I was not around in 1958. Some of you may have been, okay? And asbestos floors must have been the rave because it seems like a lot of Willingboro public schools, if not all, have that type of tile within it. I'm not sure about everyone here in the room, but I'm vested into this community. I want the absolute best for our students. And the students that I've been serving here for over the past 25 years. Our children are our future, and we need you to support them and also invest in them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Yes.
Make sure. I knew you were doing those first, but. Hi, my name's Ann Rapisarda. I live actually in Lumberton, 5 Wellington Drive in Lumberton. I'm a Burlington County resident, and I've worked at Lockheed Martin in Morristown as a CPA for the last 30 years. I work to help the communities throughout our county, including Willingboro, in a volunteer capacity, serving as the vice president of the Friends of the Burlington County Animal Shelter. We are a nonprofit organization that raises over $500,000 every year to support the county animal shelter. We pay all their advanced medical bills. We provide dog training, foster care, low-cost spay-neuter, community cat management through trap, neuter, vaccinate, return, and many other expenses that the county unfortunately is not able to fund. By doing so, we help reduce the burden of these costs on taxpayers in Wilmington and other towns, Willingboro and other towns throughout the county. We are working really hard to get our county animal shelter to a no-kill status, and we're currently speaking to all the towns in our county. We have engaged all the municipalities in our county with proactive and positive outreach, and that is why we are here tonight. We have received positive receptions from many towns due to their concern for ensuring the public health and safety of their residents, as well as recognizing the important status animal welfare issues have in the minds of their residents. Through a lot of hard work and partnership with the animal shelter, we have kept the dog save rate above 90%, which is really amazing since most of the dogs at the shelter are pit bull mixes, and there's usually 100 of them at every moment. These larger dogs are very hard to adopt, and the victims victims of unregulated backyard breeding, which ultimately results in these animals filling the animal shelters. So we're there with the dogs at no kill, but our last hurdle is getting the cat save rate to a no kill status. Adoptable cats are not the issue, but it's the community cats that are dragging down our save rate. These are cats that are not owned, not adoptable as pets, and living outside through no fault of their own. Over 200 community cats are euthanized every year at our county shelter, and the majority come from Willingboro and Pemberton. Not only do we want to help these cats, we also want to spare our county workers from having to euthanize perfectly healthy animals on a daily basis. This is very painful, not fair to our county employees when there is another better, more humane, and cost-effective way to go. These shelter workers experience compassion fatigue, and I'm sure none of us would want to do their jobs. Our organization has reached out to your town representatives to discuss an alternative that would not cost Willingboro any additional dollars. In fact, it would save money. We understand you are all very busy with other important human items, but we have yet to have a conversation about this very important issue. We are asking tonight that your council designate a liaison who can speak with our organization about the ways we can help Willingboro better address this issue with proven and progressive approaches supported by the National Animal Control Association and many other leading national, state, and local organizations that are involved in this issue. I am sure the current record of sending so many cats needlessly to their deaths does not represent the town council's combined view of homeless animals. We look forward to this opportunity to collaborate with you. It will save money, it will reduce complaints, and reduce the needless killing of cats. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Basarta.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is C. Willow Hanson. I live at 467 West Country Club Drive, West Hampton, New Jersey. I'm a volunteer and I'm a board member for FOBCAS. I've done a number of volunteer jobs for FOBCAS, and one of those jobs was as a TNR coordinator for 5 years. In this capacity, I interfaced with the public, the trappers, TNR clinics and veterinarians, as well as the shelter and various municipal authorities. I wanted to let you know about my personal experience with TNR because that's what Ann was alluding to. When we moved to West Hampton in 2004, where we faced farm fields and a golf course, we saw numerous outside cats. We realized we had a big problem when we began to see batches of kittens being moved by their mother cats to safer locations. What we did was start to trap, neuter, and to return those cats back outside. Some who proved to be friendly, as well as the kittens, we were able to get them adopted through the Burlington County Animal Shelter. After several years, what we noticed was that there were no more kittens, and all of the adult kittens, all of the adult animals were ear-tipped, which is a standard indication to mean that the cats have been spayed, neutered, vaccinated, and returned to the field. From a personal perspective, I can tell you that TNR does work. Now, when I see a new cat appear at my home, that isn't ear-tipped. I work to get him used to my same process that I've used multiple times before, which is called TNR. We have not seen any kitten litters for the past 7 to 8 years. With that, I just wanted to say thank you. This was a very informative meeting today, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson.
Mike Bird, 23 Gaffney Lane. Good evening, Mayor Whitfield, Deputy Mayor Worthy, council members, and the community at large. I'm a lifelong resident who moved here in 1979. For the most part, these schools look exactly the same way they did when I was in elementary school in the 80s and graduating high school in the 90s. As a community volunteer and currently on the school board, I've had the opportunity to be in these schools quite often. I have friends and family, nieces and nephews that go to these schools. And this bond referendum is very important for the main fact that this project would take us, the things we want to do, and this isn't even about the track, the things we want to do for these buildings to make them current as possible would take years. We say the children are our future, and I've heard that a million times tonight. No, the children are our present, because if it could take us 8 to 10 years to do all of those things, and during those 8 to 10 years, as April Maxwell Henley said, we would be raising taxes, probably 2% a year, which is what the school district is allowed legally. I hope that those that are in support of this or on the fence about it, really look into it, come to the town halls, get your questions answered more specifically, or come up with more questions. Test the school board. Make sure that this is something that is good for everybody. But ultimately, if one of these roofs goes bad tomorrow and there's a major leak, that just doesn't affect just the roof and just the floor. It affects the electronics and all the things that go on throughout the school could get messed up. And then we're fixing more stuff and we're taking money out of our regular budget for more and more repairs. This is preventive maintenance. It's like getting a home equity loan to put a new roof on your house. That's what we're trying to do as a school district. So tell your neighbors, tell your friends, look on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd.
Hello, Council. My name is Adelma Spalding, and I am a previous resident of Willingboro. As a matter of fact, Miss Gunning, my parents bought Miss Gunning's house back in 1982, I believe. I'm currently working for the school district right now, and I want to say I hear every resident in here, especially the residents that have been here most of their lives. We appreciate you guys. I know I graduated from Willingboro in 1986. The schools are basically the same. We got the same fixtures, same lockers. You know, roofs are bad, and I know everybody in here does not want, they want the roofs fixed. The young lady mentioned about the empty, ugly schools in her park. When I grew up here, there were pools in all the parks. I think that the current administration and the board, as far as the presentation goes, I think it is an investment in these kids. I'm working with these kids. These kids are excited. These kids are basically begging us to pay attention to them. You know, we have the sports complex. You know, Willingboro is known for sports. We know that. Deputy Mayor Worthy came over the other day. We have the Parent Center. The school district does so much for the community. I don't really think that the residents really know, and we've been doing a bad job of not being able to relay the information. I also wanted to say, we currently have students now that are in our TV and film production classes that have submitted to the New Jersey Garden State Film Festival. These schools that we have that are empty, I heard she's saying about maybe building new houses. I think right now, currently, we have CTEs. We're expanding our CTE program, a career technical education. We know that college is expensive. We want to invest in these kids to expand those programs, and I think those schools, we in the future could use them to do that. Right now, I think the population in Willingboro is 32,000. We need to bring more residents in the district. We're not going to do that by staying the same. You know, our taxes are going to get raised. Whether we fix the roofs or not, you're always going to get your taxes raised in the community, especially a community that's not growing. I think what I basically am trying to say is staying stagnant in this community is going to cost us more money if we don't pass this referendum. Staying the same is not an option. It's too expensive to stay the same. I know we're worried about the Trump administration. Black people were enslaved for over 400 years. We made it here. They got us here. We can't worry about what the outside and what the boogeyman is going to do. We have to continue to invest in these children. They are who's going to come back into the community and make it what it is. It will be too expensive not to do anything in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spalding. Ms. Schaefer, I believe you spoke already.
I spoke about the school. I'm here as a FOBCAS volunteer and a Willingboro resident to seek to.
So we only have one public comment per person during the public comment section.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, but you can email your question or statement to the clerk.
Okay, will
All
do.
right.
Thank you.
Peace and blessings.
Good evening.
My name is Odette McCartney.
I listened to all the comments. 76 Tower Lane. They covered a lot of what I wanted to say, but there's some things that I wanted to speak to. I think it might have been the architecture who was saying that, the students needed a vibrant atmosphere. No. I feel like, teachers create the atmosphere in the classroom. They inspire the children to learn, not the decor. Vibrant makes you kind of edgy. The next thing is, that I wanted to say is that he made our children seem like, when he spoke, it was like it was special needs. And I don't know whether that was to convince us or not, but that wasn't good. The next thing is, sports is great. But what about the arts? What about a music program? And I think I know music is good. It inspires kids, it calms kids, it makes them want to learn. Jazz programs, whatever, not just sports. Everybody can't be a sports person. Everybody can learn music. They can sing. They can play instruments. I remember that growing up, and that was very positive in my generation. I guess 50s baby. So there's certain things that are positive in our community. Sports is great. Music is better. Music therapy. Music therapy over sports therapy. And I thank everyone who did speak. You all are great. Peace and blessings. Music in the school system. Give us some music for our kids.
Thank you, Ms. McCartney.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bata Ciszkiewicz. I am from actually Mount Laurel Township. I am connected to Williamboro through a few people. I used to work Radwell International for many, many years. Currently, I'm first responder. I'm also very involved in rescue work, rescuing animals, have whole bunch at home. I am here on behalf of TNR program. I am by myself working as independent trapper and also with various organizations. So one thing I wanted to say why this is important for some people is just cats. I will tell you why TNR works, why it is important. For us, it's a passion. For us, it's something that we go do it because we see those animals, we see their suffering, we feel bad. I'm sure some of you do, but we feel it. We see them sick, we see them dying, we want to help. For townships, on the other hand, it also has benefits. Nobody mentioned it when we do TNR cats. They are not just being TNR'd with the cat ear. We also do the whole medical. Each and every animal gets rabies, which is so important. And this is for safety of the residents, for safety of your children who play in the yard. When they find a kitten and they grab it, if God forbid the kid gets scratched, the cats were vaccinated against rabies. They get distemper vaccine, they get dewormed. There must be a population control, but there also must be a balance. When we can call animal control, kill all the cats. It's not gonna work. Give it 6, 7 months, new cats will move in. Now the problem that you have is those cats are not fixed, those cats are not vaccinated, those cats are not healthy. Many times you can relocate cats, you relocate diseases. This is actually, I believe, illegal to do this. That is why TNR program keeps all the cats intact. We manage that by population control. Also, what happens with the cats that are TNR, new cats don't move in often. If we see them, we take care of that. What we ask for you, we ask the township to be on our side, to work with us, to help us do what we love to do. And I don't want to go on my trapping side and look around if somebody is chasing me or calling police because I'm there. I am here to help you. Many times it's on our own time, our own budget. Nobody reimburses us. We are all volunteers. We cover all the expenses. We do it for animals. But this way, it helps your towns, your communities, your neighborhoods are cleaner, your neighborhoods are safer. And that is why we are fighting so much for like saving those animals and keeping TNR in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shinsky.
I didn't know, the advocate, this is my first time, I didn't know, so I just wanted to speak on behalf of that just for 1 minute, please.
Yeah, but you already had your time.
I
So
didn't know.
if you send your comments to the clerk, we'll add them to the record.
Okay, I didn't know I had to combine it.
Thank you.
Vicky Benedict, 16 Palfrey Lane. So I was watching the news tonight and there was, guess who? Willingboro's own Adam Blackstone, because you know why? He's doing the whole Super Bowl show. So all I'll say is some of us will remember Adam in the parade with the banner on the back of his float that said Adam Blackstone playing his bass guitar. So the arts in Willingboro, huge. I too work in the school district and I've been here my whole life. It's very hard for me to not support this, but it's also very hard for me to support this because I think we could have taken this pot of money and really talked to town people and made sure we fixed exactly what needed to be fixed first. Roofs, absolutely, okay? I'm all for that. The gyms, I think we could have maybe held on. If we want to do something, let's do some art, some music. We seem to be bringing back CTE at the high school. Let's bring that stuff back. But I think the timing right now is just wrong. And I think that's a lot of it. And it was funny, I had a discussion with someone because my taxes have gone up, and I could show you, have gone up between $800 and $1,000 a year or $800 to $1,000 over the last 2 years. And I think if you pay your taxes quarterly, you see the increase. If you pay your taxes with your mortgage, you don't necessarily see it other than at the end of the year, you get caught in escrow. So it's very hard for me to support, but it's very hard for me to not support. I love this community. I went to school here. I happen to work in one of the oldest buildings in the district that is not slated for one repair. So that's part of the problem I have, is we didn't look at everything and say, hey, let's prioritize roofs, bam, bam, bam. Then we do this, then we do that, then we do this. You know, the indoor track, it's funny, I was telling somebody and they said, what do you need an indoor track for? You know how many state championships we won without an indoor track? And I get it, it's going to be a moneymaker, but I think maybe that's something we look at the township and the school district partnering together and bring in some kind of sponsor. We have so many famous people from this town that we've never even tapped into that would gladly come back. My brother just had his 40th reunion. He graduated from the better school in town, Kennedy. So go Griffins. If Dennis Tunstall was here, he'd give me a shout out. But anyways, I say that to say a couple of these guys had not been back to the community in 40 years. They wanted to see their house. Some of them went over to the high school. They loved the track wall of fame. The greatness we have in this community, I mean, it goes back years and years and years and years. I just think we need to make good decisions right now, and I just think the timing for this is wrong. Not that fixing the roofs isn't the right thing to do right now. I just think the timing, and we all need to sit down and maybe plan it out better. I mean, you can't get your mail-in ballot before you get your information about the referendum. But I love this community. My husband, too, he's one of those chimeras like the rest of you guys.
Hi, Mara.
But, you know, I love the community. My father still lives in the house I grew up in. It's a wonderful community, and I feel it getting so much better, but I just don't know if we tax us all to death right now, if this is the right thing to do. And I just think maybe we can come to the table, and people that know and are smarter than me can figure this out. And we can do right by our kids, but we can also do right by our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Benedict.
Hi, good evening. I'm Tina Reeves. I live at 35 Fawn Court. I actually live in Lumberton. I'm here to support our Friends of Burlington County Animal Shelter as well. I go kind of back in Burlington County, but I graduated from Northern Burlington, so we have a lot of rivalry with the high schools in Willingboro, but I have a lot of friends that are still here that came from Fort Dix as well as McGuire and moved into Willingboro. But I just wanted to hope that as Ann Raprasarda said, who is our VP, that if you can dedicate someone, a liaison for our group to work with our group, you know, our volunteers, as well as the county freeholders, I think it would really make a difference in your community. I was here just the other evening. It was sleeting, snowing, and I'm out here, you know, trapping cats. And it does make a difference. I have a few residents here that I have trapped for, I think 4 or 5 people. I asked them to come because they live here and this is their community as well. So I just think it is important. And just as they were saying, it does save money. It helps our Burlington County residents as a whole, not just Willingboro, where we're not sending, as they said, cats, you know, to be killed essentially. And I hear that quite often within Willingboro. I've been out there sometimes late in the evening. I've had cops stop, you know, and make sure I'm okay or just check in to see what I'm doing, interesting in what's going on. And I think that's important. And I thank you guys for that as well. And it's a community, you know, because I see a lot of people out there, you're talking to different folks while you're out there, oh, what are you doing? So I think it's important, and I think I would appreciate it, and I'm sure your residents would appreciate it if you would assign someone or, you know, have a liaison so you can talk about it and you can learn more about it. And I think that's really what it is education for the residents to know that there is help out there. There's low-cost spay and neuter clinics. You know, you have an opportunity to get as Bada was saying, the rabies shots, distempers. So those things are important, and people, if they know about the resources, I think it would make a difference in your community. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reeves. All right, we have a few comments online.
Yes, Mayor. Ed Cowherd.
Good evening, Mr. Cowhern.
It's actually Miss Nicholas, Nicole Nicholas. It's 41 Edge Lane. Dear Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members and committee members, good evening. I would like to share some insights regarding the municipal bonds. Before investing in these bonds, I understand that it's crucial that we understand the bond rating system assigned by some of these agencies. I understand we keep talking about the state, but in the research that I did, I'm trying to understand and wrap my head around Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and Fitch ratings. And I was understanding that these ratings assess the issue's creditworthiness and the ability to repay the bond. It keeps coming up that it's a $21 million bond, but in the midst of everything that's going on, I was just trying to get some clarity. So the thing is that I wanted to know, in particular, if I think it's Dr. Lewis, if he would be able to actually clarify the type of bond that was issued, its rate, and whether it provides stable funding for the district projects. I also wanted to know whether the state funding has been confirmed in writing, and if so, if we could have a copy of it that would be added to the Reimagine website, so there was like clarification. And I also wanted to know if it was approved by the state, if a representative from the state office, I'm not sure if it's the Office of Financial Accountability and Compliance, if they would be able, whichever state office it was that approved this, who approved the funding, if they would be able to be present for a discussion at one of these public actual meetings that we would be having. Additionally, I wanted to urge all of the actual Willingboro board members that were there in attendance to actually be able to maintain professionalism and decorum in their conduct and discourse. As a word of caution and note, on how to have class. When you're a guest in someone's home, you don't ever insult the host or hostess. I'm really tired about hearing about Willingboro, but constantly seeing the petty backstabbing. It's always constantly about one Willingboro, but then we see petty backstabbing, envy, uncouth behavior from, unfortunately, it was evident tonight from one trifling cancerous board member who has high hopes and aspirations of obviously becoming a township council member. Let's just prioritize the kids in our community. While I agree that our children do deserve better, I believe that the current plan could benefit from further refinement to maximize its effectiveness. Exploring partnerships with Senator Kim and applying for the appropriations, which do open up later this month, could provide access to significant additional funding. I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholas. Sean,
Okay.
that's online.
Yes, ma'am. Maddie Mallory.
Good evening,
Good evening, Ms. Mallory.
Madam Mallory, Hudson Place. And as a taxpayer for 52 years in the township of Willingboro, and still a taxpayer, I feel that I'm probably in the majority of the taxpayers that live in Willingboro. And most of us are on a fixed income. And as a result of that, to impose more taxes could definitely be a hardship for many of us. I was just looking at my tax statement for this year, and presently I'm paying $3,549.81 for school taxes for this year. And if this referendum passes, it means it would be an additional $276, which would make my taxes $3,825.81. As a former educator of 35 years, I would definitely support question number 1, because all of the things that are listed, I feel are necessary to continue the education programs that we have in place. However, one of the problems that I have with this is the amount. It says about $14 per month. Well, math is an exact science. So to say about $14 per month is not an accurate statement. It's either $14 per month or it's not. About is not an exact amount when it comes to mathematics. As I said before, I would support question number 1 if we have the actual amount that it would cost. The other thing is, unless I misunderstood the slide, when the presentation was made about the amount of time that the roofs were replaced, it appears that they range anywhere from 2 to 4 years. I'm not sure what kind of roofs they use on schools, but I know when we have a roof replacement on our homes, it's guaranteed anywhere from 15 to 20 years. So maybe we should look into the type of roofs that we are placing on these buildings and make sure that we have something that would last more than 2 to 4 years. At the reorganization meeting, I think I made the comment about the dispensary in town and the fact that we were considering adding another. And I think Mayor Whitfield stated that the township received $20,000 from the dispensary that we have now, even though I expressed the fact that I had not seen a lot of activity. So my suggestion would be that we use this money from the dispensary to offset the amount that the taxpayers would have to pay to pass referendum for the improvement of the schools. And it appears that my 4 minutes went faster than anyone else's, but I will conclude for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mallory.
Okay, Lori Witherspoon.
Sean, before we take the next one, we do have a meeting cutoff time at 10 p.m. So we will take a few more public comments, and any responses that would normally be given at the meeting will be sent to the resident, or you can call the office to get a response. Either call the clerk or the township manager's office. Ms. Witherspoon? Ms. Witherspoon, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Ms. Witherspoon? Sean, can we go to the next public comment?
Yes, ma'am. Sarah Holly.
Good evening, council. How are you today?
Good evening, Ms. Holly.
Yeah, I agree with Ms. Mallory. There's some funny stuff going on with counting. I've been sitting here watching. Some people, you start at that clock right away, and other people, you give them more time. So I've been watching it all night. My name is Sarah Holly. I reside at 9 Tioga Lane. I'm a retired educator, and I have lived in Willingboro for almost 50 years. And all that time, I have always supported educational opportunities and programs for our students, no matter what the tax increase happens to be. And yes, I agree 100% that there should be a tax increase of the 2%, which is required by state law, or should the state law supports that. I have voted for all bond referendum. I strongly urge the residents to support question 1 on the ballot. Question 1 will replace and or repair the roofs, add additions to science labs, extensions to classrooms to be used as gym spaces so that other classrooms can be used for educational purposes, and provide bathrooms for the early childhood program. The state is helping to fund these initiatives by giving the district millions to help with these renovations and repairs. I urge all residents to vote in support of question 1, to give our students the opportunity to compete on a level playing field. Now, question 2 is another matter. Question 2 is a request to build an indoor track facility. The state is not offering any financial support for the building of this facility. The total cost of question 2 will come directly from the pockets of the taxpayers. The combination of the 2 questions is too much at this time for taxpayers to handle. Although question 1 will raise our taxes, those additions and renovations are desperately needed to better the educational outcome for our students. Okay, and all past bond referendums, Councilman Anderson, have been paid. Okay, they were paid back in, and I called the past business manager, so I know what I'm talking about. We have no money for left on those bond referendums. The second thing, you guys voted to increase or open a contract that you just gave 2 meetings ago, and you're going to increase the money that you awarded that person for that contract. That's crazy. If you signed or agreed to a contract 2 meetings ago, there's no reason that contract should be open. That's a problem. And I guess that's it for right now. That's all I
Thank you,
know.
Ms. Holly.
You're quite welcome.
All right, and we'll take one in the courtroom.
Good evening. My name is Helen Taft. I live on Hillcrest Lane in Willingboro. I've been a resident here since 1985. Two things I want to speak on. One is basically I'm imploring you to please set aside and get a time for a liaison to talk about the trap and neuter program for Willingboro. This is something that's been happening for as long as I can remember, and these cats desperately need help. It isn't fair that the cats in Willingboro are trapped, put in a shelter, and euthanized when all the other townships around have programs where these cats are not euthanized, can be socialized, and can be adopted. So we need that. And I'm imploring you to please, please help us with this. The second thing is with the school. My taxes from here, when I moved here in 85, were a little over $3,000. Right now, they're a little under 7,000, and they're going to be going up. When I came here, I had 2 school-age children, and I had a husband. I am now a widow. I have no children in school. I'm on a fixed income. Everybody's saying, oh, it's only $23. Well, you know what? That's $273 a year. Right now, insurances have gone up. My life insurance premium's gone up. My car insurance premium's gone up. The taxes have gone up. Food has gone up. Clothing has gone up. Everything has gone up except my pension. If you continue with this, you're going to basically get a whole part of us who have been here for years and have paid our taxes and have paid our school dues. We can't afford the homes anymore. So again, I'm asking you, when you make decisions about this, to please think about all people in the community and how this is going to affect them. Yes, we do need to take care of the children. Yes, we do need safe environments and desperately need schools, but we also need to get the ratings up in the school systems. And some of the things, like I would love to have an enclosed front porch. That's a dream, something I can try to get to, which I never will. But the important things is the roof and safety measures and quality education for the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taft. All right. So right now, I'll give Mr. Lewis the last word, and then I'll ask for a motion from council to suspend public comment. We are coming up on time, and I know we have a lot of people that want to speak on this issue. There is another discussion in town hall on the school board referendum tomorrow at Crestwell School, J.C. Stewart School. So, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Dr. Lewis.
I wanted to thank Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to come present to you. Thank you for the opportunity to present to the community. We want to reaffirm that the district loves to work with the council, and we look forward to continuing our partnership. A couple of dates. February 5th from 6:30 to 8:30, we will be doing a town hall at J.C. Stewart ECDC School, which is at 70 Sunset Road. February 12th, we'll be doing a virtual town hall. February 18th, we'll be doing a town hall at W.R. James Elementary School at 41 Pine Tree Lane. February 26th, we're doing a in-person town hall at James A. Cotton Intermediate School, which is just across the street. And March 5th, we're doing another town hall at Willingboro High School. We encourage the council members, we encourage the community to come out and continuously support and come out and voice your concerns and anything that you would like to talk about. We have question and answer. We'll have that available to the community. Also, when we talk about looking at additional resources and looking at other things to do. I wanted to point out for the community that the district has gone through an ESIP, an Energy Savings Improvement Plan, and part of the reason that we did not include Bookbinder on the referendum is that we are currently doing renovating and replacing their boilers, doing HVAC units in all of the rooms. So Bookbinder is currently going through a renovation on its own. So I just wanted to, let you know that we are looking at other resources and other avenues to continue to better the district and this community. Again, thank you for your time and thank you for having us. Have a great night.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. I'll ask for a motion from council to suspend public comment.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman McIntosh. Roll call?
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman McIntosh, Deputy Mayor Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Mayor Whitfield.
Yes. And with that, we will push our municipal clerk updates to our February 18th meeting. And we will go to council comments.
I would like to thank everyone for coming out. And for the young lady, the beautiful young lady who lacked decorum, I've been a resident of this community for 25 years at the same house consistently, just for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Any other council comment? All right. Being none, I just want to close the meeting by say Happy Black History Month to everyone. I think this conversation is about bettering our community. But it's up to you. It's up to the residents to make that decision. It's not council's decision. It's not the school board's decision. It is your decision as the residents of Willingboro to decide to invest in either or both the critical infrastructure infrastructure upgrades that need to happen at the school buildings and or the indoor track that has been proposed. It is your decision. I encourage you to attend the town halls to ask your additional questions. And also lastly, I do want to implore all of you to come out to the special election that will be happening on March 11th on this issue. I also just want to briefly acknowledge the executive orders that have come down from President Trump. And while they are jarring, we are a community that supports each other and supports everyone to be here and to feel safe while being here. I know we have quite a large immigrant population, and there may be some apprehension or fear of ICE raids and other actions that may be taken against them. And the council has been in touch with the senators and the congressman's office. We have resources to help any residents that are struggling with any of those issues and can get you the information to the right people. Remember to love each other, and I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman McIntosh. Roll call, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night, Willingboro.
9:58.